Howdy. Welcome to Ausgrave Royalty. I am Justin. On to another kind of wild card Wednesday rant style video. For those new to the channel, I do one of these per week as well as one more structured video per week on some book of interest. Right now, in this season, so to speak, we're covering the book Archetypes by Dr. Anthony Stevens. So check that out if you're interested in that. But in this video, just want to shoot the breeze with you on the Manosphere. You saw the title. Time to alienate a lot of people. Again, I want this to be more conversational, just kind of a radically self-indulgent vent session. So, where to begin? I have a lot of notes here, actually. So, I have them in front of me. A lot to get through. What I don't want to cover in this video is what the Manosphere is or all the pills or anything like that. I'm assuming for this video that my viewer knows kind of what the Manosphere is, what it's about, why it's arisen in the first place, like why there might be a need for it, and all that. I don't want to have to unpack that. Other people have done that much better, and I'll have a lot of links below. As you'll see, I'll mention a few people and where you can get better resources on all this stuff. This video is just me sharing my personal take on it and where I've been, how I feel about it, some issues here and there. Yeah, just kind of shooting the breeze. All right. So yeah, I definitely owe an intellectual credit to the body of creators that make up the Manosphere. I've definitely learned a lot. And it's amazing how, y'all know what limiting beliefs are, right? Like, oh, I can only work hard if I have my coffee or something like that. It's like made up thoughts that limit your potential, that you have become like so ingrained in your bones that you don't even realize the power they have over you. And sometimes like those can get shattered and you break away and then you think, the hell was I thinking? That was just nonsense. And this has been my kind of experience in the Manosphere, like things that I thought were kind of shattered, and then even those things were then shattered again. And you could argue that this is kind of what life is in general, a re-shattering of, a constant churning of learning new things, reformulating your stance, and so on. I think that's living life with integrity and humility. I think when things become a problem is when you get too firmly set in your ways, and kind of like Nicholas Nassim Taleb talks about in his book Anti-Fragile, if you're set up to break and not bend in the wind, then you will break, and when those breaks happens, they're going to be rough. And I've mentioned this on the channel before. I mean, that I'm high in agreeableness, but I'm really high in openness as well. So that, I'm extremely high in openness. So I'm the definition of being bendy. I mean, another reason why I probably got into philosophy, because I like exploring ideas. I'm open to everything, and I kind of just try things on, see how they fit in my experience, and again, like take what is useful and discard the rest. It's a great paradigm. Anyway, yeah, and I did a video on Stefan Molyneux, and I forgot to mention that like the reason I told y'all that I was going to mention why I don't listen to him as much anymore is because I was listening to him too much. Sometimes you start outsourcing your thinking to people you admire, and maybe they are worthy of your admiration, but you're still outsourcing the number one, the alchemists call it the prima materia, your individual essence, your thoughts and the formulate, like the structures that those thoughts arise from are the number one thing you should not outsource. And I'm sure the God-fearing, among us in the viewers, I'm sure that's the danger of idol worship as well, where that comes from. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Like, a doctor should never want any patients, right? Same thing with Molyneux. Like, I'm sure Molyneux's biggest dream is to not have to have a channel at all, because the world would be fantastic, Anyway, you get my point. So yeah, this was becoming like the Manosphere for me. I got it really into it, and I was like, I don't like being here this long. The alchemists call it being overcooked. I kind of, when you're like in the pool too long, you get pruny. It's kind of like that way in the Manosphere, or any realm. Honestly, you forget that, oh, I have to live my life. I can't just read about other people living theirs. And shout out to the content creators. I mean, they're all doing great work, but I would think that they would want you to move the hell on and not just dwell in that energy forever. Those in the know will know what white pill is, and it's just you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You've processed the grief cycle that many go through when encountering this content, and you're kind of on the other side, processing. You've mostly processed it. You're ready to move on. That's kind of like where I am, I guess, if I had to say. Yeah, just for some context, I guess you could call me purple-pilled. There's a lot of contempt for purple-pilled people out there. Basically, it means you're red pill aware. Again, I'm not going to go through the definitions here, but I'm expecting my viewer to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you've been through the red pill, but you still want kids, or you still want serious commitment. I do want kids and serious commitment. So yeah, I guess I am purple-pilled. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Just wanted to run through there's a lot to cover here. I have a lot of notes, and it was quite an introduction. So I'm gonna move pretty quickly. But as always, dear viewer, please leave in the comments below any questions you have. I look forward to an ongoing dialogue with all this stuff. And I'll, reply with as much detail as I can, whether they be personal or otherwise. So, yeah, just a few ranty things again. Like these style of videos, it's like I'm just chilling with you as a friend, just catching up, Yeah, it never felt short until I entered the Manosphere. Yeah. So I'm 5'7", and I never thought about height. I thought, like, for most of my life, I was thinking, like, there's all the, you hear it incessantly. Don't judge a book by its cover. Blah, 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 blah. Beauty's only skin deep. But height especially was not on my radar because, like, you can't control it. Not like body fat percentage I get. That would be important because you can lose weight, but you can't gain height. So I thought nobody would ever judge anybody on their height because it tells you nothing about the individual. At least with body fat percentage, it could maybe signal as a sign of laziness or gluttony or something like that. And I'm certainly guilty of a little bit of that. Yeah, all the fat goes to my face, which is great for YouTube. I remember Norm Macdonald, he was like, yeah, I went to the doctor, and, I'm just worried about my fat fucking face. And he's like, open your mouth and say oink. I'm like, that's not a very nice doctor. Anyway, Norm was great. Anyway, yeah, I just, I was like, but the Manosphere is very insistent about height being like a big attractor for women. like comes from evolution, all that. And especially in the black pill, it's basically 80% height, 20% the way your face looks, or something like that. I don't know. Go check out Wheat Waffles. He's in the deep end and all that. I'd recommend him. Yeah, height tells you nothing about the individual. And I thought, like, surely women know that. And then the reply the Manosphere would give is like, well, they know it subconsciously. They don't understand why they feel it. That's just the way things are. But I understand that's a pull. It's like gravity. Gravity definitely is a force. But if you apply enough force in the opposite direction, you can overcome gravity, which is why, people can jump. You can overcome it for a little while at least, or like fly a plane or whatever. So I don't think we as individuals, women included, are the summation of our genetic heritage. I do believe in free will. And I think, like, if I saw an attractive woman who has, like, all the evolutionary markers I should be attracted to, that doesn't guarantee anything. I mean, maybe it guarantees a slightly lingering glance, but life is, I don't know, I'm just ranting right now, but I think life is too multidimensional and unpredictable for, like, height to be very important. Of course, I could be wrong. And of course, like, subconscious drives, I'm doing a series on archetypes. I very few people have more respect for subconscious drives than I do. Even so, I'm skeptical on this one. I agree with my friend. He said something. He's like, there needs to be more tigers in the world, and I like that. Which is like, I wonder how long height would last as a criteria if we were hunted, if we were not the apex predators. It's like, for survival, I think height is like, gotta find something at this point because all the other needs are taken care of. Anyway, I've gone on about that, but ultimately where I stand on it is that, like, it all sounds pretty grim. And, like, there are, like, TikTok memes and stuff that I've seen go by that are like, that moment when a man's height starts with a 5 and then they make a face, or like men under 6 feet aren't real men. And this is coming from women. So, I get that, but I'm not going to take the bait to label all women that crazy. Just based on that, I think that's a few outliers. And I'd like that to be reciprocated on the other side, but we'll see. Anyway, I don't know. It's all kind of liberating for me because I think for the women for which height is super important, I probably wouldn't want to associate with anyway. So I think we repel each other, which is a win-win, which is fine. So next thing, the only game I have is raw authenticity. Yeah, this is game. So I don't know. I agree with Nirvana here, Kurt Cobain, right? Better to be hated for what you are rather than loved for what you're not. If you lead with your money, don't be surprised when the money goes out that your partner will leave. That makes sense. If you lead with game and charm and being strategically unavailable and not spending too much time and waiting, setting your timer for like, I can't text her back because only 3 minutes have passed. I got to act like I have a life and all that nonsense. If you lead with all that stuff, you're creating a persona that's layered on you, layered on your true self. And there's a time and a place for that. I just don't think it. I guess it depends on what you want. Game, I think, is great for like the one night, what's called fast life mating strategies are selected people, which is like breed, super high sex drive. But if you want intimacy and connection, I don't think game is even worth considering. Now, if you're going to say game is social skills, well, then don't equivocate the term. Social skills is fine. Being discreet, respectful, I'm all for that. If you want to call that game, that's fine. Ultimately, though, for me, where I've ended up, is game is just about the courage to be who you are no matter what. And it fluctuates context to context, and me being highly agreeable, it can take different forms. I've got different sides to me, and I don't necessarily show all sides to every person. That's called being respectful of the other person. They don't. Anyway, I'll get into that another time. But yeah, again, like Mark Twain said, just tell the truth, because you don't have to remember all the lies. It's just so much work. It's hard enough just being like yourself, So I'll leave that there. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about that. Another thing is how confidence comes from evidence. Yeah, Jordan Peterson said this. The incessant confidence mantra, especially, it's like blaring at full blast into every man's ears in 2020 to 2020s or 21st century in general. Just be confident. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's exhausting. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But I'll just unpack some things. So I don't think anybody is confident with a capital C. I think people are confident in basketball or in their musical ability or in the ability to manage money, etc. But I'm going to grant that as like a straw man. I'm going to assume that the thinking goes beyond that. So maybe it just, what it really means is being confident socially, having like a charisma. And again, though, this is like faulty. And correct me if let me know in the comments what you think about this, but here's where I think. There's no such thing as men or women. And I'm an anarcho-capitalist. Yeah, you heard it here, folks. There are only particular men or women. There's a particular man or particular woman. They each have a history. They have their whole lives, their paradigms, their baggage, their preoccupation, their habits, their own limiting beliefs, their own standards, etc. You can't be everything for everybody. Some people are going to think you're confident, some people not. And do you really want to worry about that? That's just exhausting, So really, confidence, confidence comes from evidence. If you want to be confident in a thing, simply expose yourself to it and work with it. Work with the material, in however way that manifests for you. And again, I think confidence manifests differently for everybody. For some reason, people think kindness is weakness, that silence is agreement. Yeah, everyone has their own paradigm, and they're going to pigeonhole you real quick. But that's lack of impulse control and potentially projection on their part. I don't think you have anything to worry about if you're just being yourself, is how I view it. And on the biological front, yeah, there's that expression, neurons that fire together, wire together. Simply by exposing yourself to something, your brain's going to wire and accordingly, and you'll just effortlessly do whatever it is, the thing that you've exposed yourself to, which will come off as confident. That's how you get confidence, So that's my opinion. So yeah, on agreeableness, I've mentioned this. I'm high in agreeableness, and as a man, that's like apparently a huge turnoff. So I'm under 6 feet and agreeable. Perfect for 2022. But yeah, I'm definitely amazed by all this anti-nice guy stuff. I think their heart's in the right place, but I don't think they emphasize enough that I think there's a difference between being a nice guy and being a guy who's nice. I mean, being nice and kind is free. And yeah, there could be a fine line, but again, you can't be everything to everybody. Some people are going to think that you're one thing. Some people are going to appreciate who you are. It's just all over the place, you know? Yeah, just be yourself is in this space. If you say that, it's the mantra championed by the blue pill. But maybe everything comes full circle. I don't know. But I was in stand up for a bit, and I have some videos about that. But yeah, this is like great stand up material. I was thinking about working with, like, you know, somebody cuts in line in front of somebody, and that person, and everyone sees it. Ooh, how they're gonna react, you know? One person's like, you know, and the person just ignores it and continues waiting in line, maybe makes a face or whatever. And one person's like, oh my God, what a pushover. If it were me, I would have pushed that guy back to the back of the line, no question, you know? Meanwhile, the person right next to him is thinking, wow, what a strong dude. He didn't make a scene or anything. That would have pissed me off, and I would have lost my shit and looked like an idiot. Again, like, you know, Sun Tzu, right? When you're strong, appear weak. Like, I never knew there was a value in flying off the handle for every little slight. You know, and I've heard that, well, if you think like that, it's death by 1,000 cuts. And you keep allowing that. I get that. There's a difference between allowing it unconsciously, that's some unprocessed boundary work you need to do, and also recognizing the situation, what just happened. Okay, do I really care? I've said this before, but you know how big the sun is? How big the universe is? Do I really want to make this an issue right now? It's not a big deal. I don't care. But other people are going to, like, and I'm thinking of women looking at a man. Maybe it's their significant other. Like, my man just took that, you know? I heard, like, there was this female no, she was the girlfriend of an MMA fighter. And, like, he got knocked out, and apparently the way he got knocked out offended her and disgusted her so much she left him. What a psycho. That is some psychotic shit right there, to me. So the guy dodged a bullet. But yeah, it's such a disrespectful, like, judgmental, uncurious, pigeonholy thing to do. Like, this is coming from somebody who's highly agreeable. So I can't imagine, like, someone did X, therefore Y. Life isn't complicated. I know I'm right. I've established that, and that is now a fact in my mind, and nothing will ever change that because I viewed it, and that's what came to mind. Therefore, it must be right. I am not curious about any other facts. It's just, it's wild. And I'm worried that that's like the common mentality, the quick to judgment thing. Anyway, again, like, agreeableness is said to be a disadvantage, but I think it's an advantage. I mean, I think it's underrated, and it's a strength not to flip out at every slight, to have self-control with dealing with others, to find diplomatic and discreet solutions instead of continuing to stubbornly assert your position, to be able to talk from people to people from all walks of life and, like, empathize and with them instead of being aloof to it and just preoccupied with your own stuff. You know, what can I say? So yeah, just a few minutes left here. Thanks for sticking with me. Again, I'm curious to hear your comments below, but I didn't want to end the video without shouting out a few channels. So again, my introduction to the Manosphere was actually Stefan Molyneux, and see my video on him. He talked about single mothers in the welfare state and how they affect children's life's outcomes, the anti-male divorce courts, how the men in society are motivated to behave according to the standards set by women, otherwise they don't reproduce. So somehow there's a patriarchy, but we can't reproduce without appealing to women. I don't know. Maybe there's something to unpack there. Yeah, the dangers of modern feminism, etc. And there's more, but He also introduced me to Dr. Warren Farrell. He had him on the channel for interviews a few times. Again, I've said it before, but that man is like, he's a treasure to me. Like, he's one of my favorite people on the internet. He's a luminary in the realm of advocating for men and for women. He says, like, when one gender is suffering, both are suffering. Men are very distressed right now. Maybe, what's the word? On the down and out. I'm not coming up with the right word, but there are legitimate male issues going on right now. And women are also apparently unhappy from what I've heard in terms of being medicated and self-reported happiness that I've heard through the grapevine. Y'all can look into that. Don't take my word for anything. But yeah, he's written several books, and he's great at unpacking all these issues. Yeah, a real gift for articulating the needs of men to the masses, especially women. And I'd love to interview him one day for sure. Other than that, yeah, I don't listen to much Manosphere content anymore, but when I do, there's the meme. I listen to Thinking Ape, Human, that guy Pete you just refused to invite to gatherings. Sounds like a punk band. And Alex.Datepsych, he's new. Like, these are my favorite people right now. Yeah, remember how I mentioned, like, thoughts are like upgradable mental software? These guys are at the cutting edge of the premises of the Manosphere, the foundations, and they're very preoccupied with keeping the right premises, which is my kinds of people. Thinking Ape and Human are more like, they're more concerned about transformation and encountering certain and wrestling with certain questions for yourself to evolve. I highly recommend them. I'm going to speed up a little bit, almost out of time here. Highly recommended. And that guy, Pete, and Alex.Datepsych, they're, yeah, again, very concerned with unpacking and being very precise about the premises from which a lot of the assertions of the Manosphere follow. I admire them all greatly. To them, thank you. I've gotten a lot of value from you all. I love you all. And a couple of shout outs to some female content creators in the space. Just Pearly Things and Melanie King. Melanie King, I think, was a sort of, from what I've heard, a protege of the late Kevin Samuels. She's doing great work. Go check her out. And Kevin Samuels, I heard, mention to her that women just don't listen to men these days. They don't hear men's concerns. And maybe there's an evolutionary reason that women are preoccupied with the needs of children, not evolutionary wired to attune to the needs of men. So, but that's another video. She's doing great work. And then just Pearly Things, like, man, she's got an incredible work ethic. She's innovating the format. She's doing all kinds of different videos and introducing her friends to Thomas Sowell, which is, she's doing God's work. Her work, yeah, she puts out, but Pearl, I love you, but you're putting out like 1 billion videos per day. The notifications are driving me insane. I want to see you succeed, but good Lord. So yeah, I'm about out of time. And shout out to them. They're both doing great work, and they're doing matchmaking on their channels, which is an incredible innovation in the space. Like, way to leverage the platform. That's great. Kind of rushed at the end there. Sorry about that. But yeah, that'll about do it for the video. Really curious to hear your comments down below, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Let me know what y'all think. All relevant links will be in the description. Have a good one. Bye-bye.